Like you gotta admit, like this scene with the Omni Kings up imitating Jiren was completely ridiculous. Yo, Sanjo Che here, people. What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another segment of Dragon Ball Super Reviews, where tonight we'll be talking about Dragon Ball Super Episode 123, episode titled Body and Soul Full Power Release, Goku and Vegeta. Of course, be sure to rate, comment, subscribe. And speaking of subscribers, honestly, shout out to all those persons that actually recently subscribed to me over the last month or so. And of course, all returning subscribers, shout out to you, everybody, essentially. Thanks for the support. But yeah, let's get right into this one. And of course, be sure to hit that bell to get notifications for whenever I upload. So, episode 123. Like, honestly, my first impression of it, like, just to tell you guys, I loved it. It was pretty epic, I'm not gonna lie. It really continued the momentum and all the hype that was built up from the previous episode, episode 122 with Vegeta versus Jiren. And I'm not gonna lie, you think, I mean, we already knew this was gonna happen in terms of Vegeta is still gonna continue getting his moment. But, you know, it really goes against the usual, you know, Vegeta gets, you know, put down and then Goku takes over, and that generic formula that you usually see in various Dragon Ball storylines and all of that. But honestly, this episode was pretty damn good. But anyway, let's kind of move past the first impressions and get into what actually made this episode good for me. But despite saying all of that, the episode did have one or two problems, I'm not gonna lie. But let's get into it. So, as you already know, since you guys would have watched the episode, we continue the fight against Universe 11, the finals of the Tournament of Power, essentially, Universe 7 versus Universe 11, as Goku and Vegeta continue to take on Jiren, and Gohan and 17 take on Toppo, and Freeza takes on Dyspo. You know the idea, you got the gist from the last week's episode. Now, in terms of pacing, I will put this episode above last week. Honestly, it didn't really take us that long to get into the action compared to last week. We had a decent amount of action in the first half of the episode, much earlier compared to last week. So pacing wise, I actually thought the episode was pretty good. Characterization wise, I must say, like, even though we don't really know much about Jiren in the anime version, granted in the manga version we still don't really know a lot, but we do know more than we know now. But I must say, the subtle lines and subtle dialogue or subtle moments that they give Jiren in the anime version really kind of shows little tidbits of his character being revealed over time. And I must say, actually, every time I see it, I get to love it a bit more in terms of how Toei actually portrays this on screen. It's pretty cool, and with his whole stoic, you know, silent character, him steadily revealing more and more about his character through his actions and dialogue, that's actually pretty decent, I'm not gonna lie. So, you know, we start off this episode with Vegeta saying, you know, Jiren, I know you're not using your full power. Well, no shit. Like, everybody knew that. So, there's that. But what really made this episode really good for me was seeing Goku go up against Jiren and the strategy that he actually employed, just going up against Jiren, from using the instant transmission, energy, well, key landmines, to the combination with the Destructo disc. Like, it's more stuff like this that I actually wanted to see throughout the tournament, honestly. And if you've watched my 6 problems in the Tournament of Power video, I must say, I'm gonna reiterate, with most of the fodder characters gone that would have contributed to contrived tension in this whole tournament, most of the problems I stated in that video are actually gone, as this episode is a reminder that, hey, it's basically like the polar opposite of the problems I stated. I mean, with this episode we got strategy, the tension was there, we've got And even the structure of the episode, with we didn't solely focus on Goku and Vegeta. We got a bit of Gohan and 17 versus Toppo, a bit of Freeza and Dyspo. Like, even that, the use of the characters, and that was a problem I had throughout the majority of this tournament, really. They've been pretty overshadowed by Goku, and it's just refreshing to see that since things have been watered down to the true, I guess I'd say the true tournaments, most of the problems I would have talked about in that video are basically negligible at this point, are non-existent. So that definitely helped to bring out this episode. The use of characters, pacing, it was just overall pretty decent. And as I said, it was pretty refreshing to actually see the strategy by Goku. Like, you gotta admit, like, they can't take on Jiren head on. Like, Jiren is way much more powerful than them. Granted, Jiren may be using just enough power against any opponent just to kind of put them down and not kill them. But seeing Goku actually employ some pretty decent strategy, which at the end of the day actually linked back to the recruitment section of this arc with Krillin, him using a strategy Krillin used against him, that actually made that episode that much more, I guess, important or valuable at the end of the day. So, I mean, granted, the recruitment arc is still basically shit, but, I mean, it got some extra points thanks to this episode as well, so there's that. Now, honestly, the choreography of this episode, I definitely liked it. How the fight was structured, that was pretty decent. But I think going forward, like the jarring problem I had with this episode was this. The fact that Jiren powers up at one point in the episode, and based on the dialogue, because dialogue says a lot of things in any series you watch, if it's done right. And Belmont, the God Instruction for Universe 11, basically, and the Supreme Kai mentions out that, hey, they haven't seen Jiren this fired up or at least this powerful in a while. That was what they were basically saying. And Goku goes on to fight Jiren in blue without Kaioken and proceeds to take blows from this powered up Jiren in his base as well. And Goku also mentions that this is the first he's gotten hit with such a powerful attack. So that was a moment of like, what the WTF, like, if this is the strongest attack you've ever taken, how are you taking all this in your base form? That didn't make any sense at all. That was a moment of like bad writing for me there. Like, okay, I mean, granted, you could make the excuse that, okay, probably Goku got a Zenkai boost and that's how he's able to, but that's still poor on the writer's part right there, because it would be just like back in the fight against Hit in episode 39 when Hit powered up and they said his power didn't increase, it's just his time skip. But then again, the actions and dialogue of the characters afterward contradicts that right away. So that was basically one of those moments right here in this episode. So there's that. Of course, Vegeta eventually comes back into the fray and he powers up beyond his limits. So apparently what we have here isn't the mastered Super Saiyan Blue like a lot of us in the community were speculating. It apparently is Vegeta's limit breaker form. It doesn't seem to be Ultra Instinct per se, but I guess you could call it Limit Breaker Blue. I guess that's the only thing I can think of. It kind of sucks. I don't know where to place it in relation to Goku power wise though. Jiren does point out that their attacks are sharper, so I guess it is comparable to Goku's Blue Kaioken times 20 at this point. So I guess there's that. I guess as time goes on, we'll kind of get a better idea of where to scale it in relation to times 20 Kaioken and Ultra Instinct. But there's that. I might do a video speculating, where to place it, but that's for another video. Um, Speaking about the structure again, going back to that, it was cool seeing Gohan and Toppo, Gohan and 17 working together. But it was cool seeing 17 mention that, hey, we've never worked together before, so I guess at least the writers have a sense of continuity and remember that 17 and Gohan have never worked together before. So that was pretty decent. And even the 17 and Gohan teamwork in this episode was another instance of the strategy that was put into this episode by the writers, which really made it feel refreshing and dynamic. It almost felt like, I don't even know how to describe it, but the fact that 17 and Gohan aren't strong enough to take on Toppo, but just using their individual abilities and tactics, 17 putting Toppo in the barrier and Gohan pushing him out, that was an ingenious idea, but Gohan, I don't know why he hesitated there. Like, I think that was like another problem I had with the episode, like looking back at it now, because in retrospect, Gohan should be at the point where he shouldn't be hesitating. It's getting annoying, honestly, to see Gohan going back and forth in terms of his resolve. And honestly, it was a good strategic move, even if 17 was ringed out with him. I mean, Gohan even agreed that, hey, I'm going to get ringed out with Toppo, so just do your shit. And I don't understand why Gohan decided to, hold up. Because I honestly don't know. Because if 17 was ringed out with Toppo, you would only have Dyspo and Jiren at least. And even though Gohan will be helping Dyspo next episode based on the preview, still, it was just a dumb moment for Gohan's character there. I'm not gonna lie. So there's that. Vegeta. All right, let's talk about Vegeta himself now. Honestly, even though I love the 1 hour special, I have to admit that Goku just surviving the Spirit Bomb and getting Ultra Instinct was it was a bit sketchy, to say the least. And now Vegeta in his battered state, powering up to blue and just powering up to whatever his limit breaking form is, was a bit out of the blue. If you get what I mean. I mean, it's cool, I love it, but it's a bit sketchy. And then the way it was drawn, it made me kind of feel like Vegeta powered up, like the ascended Super Saiyan states they use against Cell, him and Trunks. It kind of felt like he powered up to his ascended states. It kind of felt like it was that state combined with God Ki, based on how the artwork was in this episode. And speaking of the art, obviously it's not as good as last week's episode, for obvious reasons. I mean, every episode can't look like that, unfortunately. It was okay. For majority of it, I guess there are some wonky shots, but honestly, the writing kind of helps to supersede. I'll take good writing over if sorry, kind of getting twisted all over the place here. But basically, I can stand bad art if the writing is pretty decent, honestly. So that's basically what I'm saying. But yeah, so Goku and Vegeta end up going up against Jiren again towards the end of this episode, and they play the Ultimate Battle theme song, which I probably will be playing at some point throughout this review, I guess. But yeah, there's that. I definitely liked it. Every time I hear it, I get hyped. So that was a pretty cool moment. Seeing Goku and Vegeta work together, that was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it kind of, we don't see that often, so pretty good. Of course, there was Freeza in this episode. Freeza coming out and saying Dyspo's attacks are nothing. So that was there, that too. Even though it seems Dyspo will be part of next episode. So there's that. But all in all, I actually thought it was a pretty damn good episode. Definitely a 7.5. I don't usually grade episodes really, but I think 7.5 is great. moment with Goku, little inconsistent power scaling and showings there. Even though you could probably make an excuse and say it's Zenkai, but you know, ever since this series stopped focusing on Zenkai's anime, well, for the anime at least, it's been a bit iffy to say if it still happens, but you know, I guess that's the only way, but it's still sketchy. I still marked down the episode for that. Gohan's character and Vegeta's sketchy limit-breaking ascension. So yeah, but all in all, I thought it was a pretty good episode. I mean, you, those three moments, I wouldn't say they can be overlooked, but you know, it's kind of hard to ignore, if you get what I'm saying. But that's all I have for this one. Let me know if there's anything I missed in the comment section below. Sanjay Uchiha, rate, comment, subscribe. Of course, I probably will be doing a video on Vegeta, kind of speculating how strong he is in his Limit Breaker form. Probably, or I may wait until next week to see any additional clips to say, you know, how strong Vegeta may be at this point. Even though, like, narratively, based on how it's portrayed in this episode, it would seem that, you know, he may be on par with Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20 Goku at this point. But anyway, I know you guys think. Sanjay Uchiha, rate, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.